going to continue today looking at area, and we're specifically going to focus on area of trapezoids. Remember, trapezoids have one set of parallel sides, and when we look at a trapezoid, or when we look at area rather, we're wanting to see how many squares will fit inside of the figure. That's what area is all about, how many squares of a certain size will fit inside of a figure. We can actually relate the formula for area of a trapezoid to the formula for area of a parallelogram, because let's say that we take this trapezoid and we take another one that is congruent to it. But if I turn that trapezoid around and I put my two trapezoids together, what shape am I going to have? I'm going to have a parallelogram. Now, what you should already remember is that the formula for area of a parallelogram is area equals base times height. Well, now when you look at this, one trapezoid is half of the parallelogram. So we need to do base times height divided by 2. But notice that's the base of the parallelogram that we need, times the height of the parallelogram divided by 2. So thinking about that for a minute, the base of the parallelogram is not the same as the base of the trapezoid. The base of the parallelogram is equal to the base 1 and base 2 together, because this part up here, when I flip it over, becomes this part down here, and that's the base of my parallelogram. So that's why I have to add base 1 and base 2 to make the total base of the parallelogram that you can make from putting two congruent trapezoids together. And then I multiply times the height of the parallelogram. Well, notice that the height of the parallelogram would be the same as the height of the trapezoid. So there's my formula for area of a trapezoid. It's just like the formula for area of a triangle in a way, because area of a triangle is half of a parallelogram, just like a trapezoid is half of a parallelogram. But we have to look at it, the formula is a little bit differently, because the base of the parallelogram that the two trapezoids form is not the same as the base of one trapezoid. So that's why we have to do the base 1 plus base 2. So let's look at this in action. Here is an example of a trapezoid. We know the formula for area of a trapezoid is base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2 times the height. And I can do the times the height before I divide by 2 or after. It doesn't actually matter. When I go back and I look at this, my base 1 and base 2 are going to be the two sides that are parallel to one another. So that's going to be this side and this side because they're parallel. So we're going to do 39 plus 31, which is 70, and divide that by 2. That's going to give me 35. And then my height has to be perpendicular to my two bases. So it's going to connect the two, and it's going to make a right angle when it's at the point where it intersects both of them. So my height in this case is 15 inches. My area then is, again, 39 plus 31 is 70, divided by 2 is 35. And then 35 times 15 is 525. So we're going to get 525 square inches. Notice, if I were to make another trapezoid that is congruent to the first trapezoid, and I were to rotate it and line it up with my first one, notice that the length of the base of the parallelogram I would form would be 39 inches plus 31 inches. That's where this base 1 plus base 2 comes from. And that's why I'm doing 39 plus 31. And then times 15, because 15 is the height of the parallelogram I made. And then I had to divide by 2 because one trapezoid is half of a parallelogram. All right, another example. Again, the formula for area of a trapezoid is area equals base 1 plus base 2. And again, I can go ahead and multiply by the height first if I want to, and then divide by 2. It doesn't particularly matter whether you multiply by the height or divide by 2 first. Either way will work because you're going to get the same answer. When I look at this figure and I look for my two parallel sides, this one's a little tricky. It's the 5-meter side here and the 7-meter side here, because those are parallel to one another. So I'm going to do 7 plus 5, and it doesn't matter which one I call base 1 and which one I call base 2. And then times the height. The height has to intersect those at a right angle. So here is going to be my height. So I'm going to do times 4 and then divide by 2. So my area is going to be 7 plus 5, which is 12, times 4 is 48. 48 divided by 2 is 24, and it's going to be square meters. So my area is 24 square meters. Now again, going back and taking a quick look at this, if I were to create, or if I were rather to rotate this particular trapezoid, it might be a little easier to see base 1 and base 2 if I turn it like that. Remember, there's no rule saying you can't rotate your paper to be able to look at the figure in a way that makes the most sense to you. Just remember that when you're looking at trapezoids, you're looking for one set of parallel sides. That set of parallel sides are going to be your base 1 and your base 2, and then your height is going to be the side which, or the measurement rather, which intersects both of those bases at a right angle.